We've got different, like B2C, B2B. We've got different industries, regulated, lesser. I mean, there's nothing unregulated these days, but somebody like an insurance here is, I mean, it's as regulated as it can get versus some of the other setups. And of course, different set of roles as well. We've got transformation leaders, we've got data leaders, we've got strategy heads. So it's a different, it's a good sort of well-rounded perspective, hopefully you'll hear, in terms of how they are creating value for the board and CEOs. So with that, I'm going to move to the first one. Where has AI really moved the needle? And with that, if I were to get to you, Anurag, where do you think a measurable impact is getting created? Is it in the cost side of the house? Is it in the revenue side of the house? Is it, I'm sure there are a zillion matrices that your business is tracking. Are there a few matrices where you think that things have started improving? Maybe targeting is better happening, marketing dollars are getting a better ROI. I mean, just a little bit of that would be really helpful.
There are many ways to approach this, right? The key part that we've done and taken learnings from globally as well as in India is pretty much look at cost first, right? There's all this hype and sometimes, revenue drivers look sexy, but the reality of the matter is if you take learnings, it's typically been cost and productivity gains that generally start off where you have probably a more meaningful chance of success. And then revenue gains obviously kick in, but you do need to have a lot of discipline. And I'm yet to come across anyone who's kind of had a great win from day one on revenue, right? So I'll give you an example of what are some of the things that we've tried. For example, running a restaurant business is not an easy business to be with, right? And you have consumers, and as big as a brand as we are, we want to make sure that consumers come first. So what we want to serve to them is fresh food, right? And when you kind of start thinking about those matrices and the cost associated with that, right? There's this whole piece around demand forecasting and inventory optimization, right? Where you want to make sure that you're looking at data and looking at the models and your location and day parts and consumer preferences, what really should be going into an AI model so that you can get better at demand forecasting, right? And therefore, then that's the way you kind of play out how you're going to get your inventory, right? And what we've seen as a function of that is very simple, right? There are just two outcomes we look at, right? Is the food wastage, the inventory wastage, is that reducing? And we've seen with the AI models we built that's happening at a store level, at a restaurant level, in cities, at a national level. And the other piece is, are we serving fresher food to our consumers? And are they actually liking the taste? And are they coming back again and again to us? So this is something that we've been after for the last about 2 years or so. We've continuously iterated the model, but we've seen significant outcomes that kind of help us understand that we got to scale this, and we've been able to do that across our territory of 1,200 restaurants. Maybe just quickly pivoting to the revenue side of it. What we've looked at is the matrices that matter to us is the frequency of the customer, how frequently do they come back to us, and the attach rate, right? Are they buying more food products that would go with their palate and their choices and preferences? And over there also, we've kind of started off by saying that we need to build the right models, right? Where we explicitly look at these two matrices when we recommend, right? Or when we tell the customer that, hey, this is a better product for you to go and buy, given the burger you want to buy or whatever you want to buy, are they coming back to us? Are they liking it? What is the attach rate? So very simply put, both cost and revenue, but for us, cost and productivity is what's been leading the way, and now we're getting very meaningful results on the revenue side as well.
Very pertinent and very encouraging. So, I mean, cost reduction in the indirect costs of the business is much easier. But I think like the food wastage that he spoke of, that's core to their business. Like that's where competitive advantage gets built. And I'm glad you're seeing some positive traction there. And of course, I'm glad you're starting to work on the revenue side, which is obviously a lot more tougher. If I go to you, Varun, in the Bata side of the house, what's your take? Cost versus revenue? How did you start? What is a few measurable things that are beginning to happen in your world?
Yeah. So let me talk in general from a retail standpoint, right? When I look at AI, every use case, maybe in the short term, would be looked at more from a cost perspective, but in the long run, it will, of course, generate revenue. And I feel like the real value will come when the organization is able to create a differentiation and able to really impact the top line, right? That's where the board will really get interested. The management will be behind AI and will push all the CIOs, CDOs to really move the needle, right? So, from a cost perspective, of course, all of us know that AI can really fasten how we create product, how we create the marketing content. The voice bots can really reduce the manpower, and so on, right? But when you look at the revenue side of the things, right, you can actually use AI to make faster decisions, right? Whether it is about how much inventory to keep, where to open the store, right? Or which customer to target, what action to take to really improve the revenue. That's where the revenue side of the things comes into the picture. So from my perspective, of course, both will come, but the real value will come when the organization start looking at AI from a differentiation standpoint.
So if I move to Amit, you're representing a regulated industry, right? So Canada, HSBC Life. Does the regulated industry dimension make a difference to how you've prioritized AI in terms of areas to focus?
As far as Canada HSBC goes, we already have a very internal, more, I would say, stringent governance process. So all regulator inclination looks to be on a broader scale. We in turn do delve into more aggressive ways of governance and everything. With respect to then AI use case, whether it is towards the cost or the revenue side, I'll quickly talk about 3 use cases. The one wing is on the hiring part, and we have been doing it for the last over a year now. That for every interview, it's a classic problem that you get CVs. You read those 2 lines of CVs and then you realize, no, either good or bad. And then you again go back to the consultant, again CVs, and this cycle keeps on going on. In an organization, this whole thing has been done by an AI. Which it does is put a role into a context. You actually are interacting with an AI engine. It speaks to you, it builds your things into context of the role. Depending upon the role, ask you some technical questions also. To a developer, maybe how to build a Python code or an SQL query. Or maybe to a customer service guy, give him a situation and maybe the person can write an email and it can build into context. And what it has done is, and research have also proven, that 60% of your time which goes into hiring, screening CVs and everything, now we have a more prominent chance that when a hiring manager is actually interacting with those top 3 people, the chances of that person hiring one of those 3 is quite high. The second use case, so it is actually helping us to, indirectly giving us more productive time. Also, if I would say an indirect benefit to the carbon footprint, because now nobody has to reach our organization 4 or 5 times for multiple interviews. It's just like one interaction. The second use case is about understanding the customer. In life insurance space, we don't deal with a persona with respect to their age and education. We work on something called a life stage. Somebody is 30 years of age with the children, and somebody is 40 years without any children. These 2 are 2 different identities for us because their financial needs are totally different. Now, given the time space 2-3 years ago, it was a massive exercise. You need a lot of data analysts, a lot of people, a lot of data to churn about. But today, with the use of AI and complex methodologies, but as you understand your business better, it becomes simple to us. I can actually offer you very hyper-personalized products, which in turn increases the productivity of my salesperson, because now he's actually talking to you in your own language, and at the same time, is actually very governed also, because AI cannot hallucinate. Internally, when you govern it better, with respect to what kind of a need-based selling you intend to do. So those are the 2-3 things which we are very proud of, which we are doing. And I think long way to go, as my fellow panelists said. Initially it is a costing, but over a period of time, the revenue yield will in turn come into picture as well.
Atul, I want to bring you into the conversation. You obviously represent a very different industry. Here's a B2B context to, the same question. In your world, is it a shift in throughput, yields, quality, new customer segments? I mean, what is AI doing to your business?
But in manufacturing, you take a case of equipment, predictive maintenance. Using sensors, the right sensors for the right equipments, especially the single line equipments, which can have a bearing on the overall output or on the batch cycle time, so to say. If you were to monitor them and avoid a breakdown, what you essentially do is avoid that costly breakdown cost, but also make sure that your throughput goes up during that period wherein you have that outage. So it's dialing into both aspects. Likewise, one is, it could be around yield, that you do more with less, that with with an optimal inputs, how do you get maximum output? So that's the yield part. Third is from the energy standpoint, that if you were to monitor, like what we do in our case, we monitor energy 24/7 on a 10-second interval for critical equipments, both from an energy generation and consumption standpoint. And wherever there are thresholds which get breached, we get an instant alert that no, there is an optimization opportunity out there. So that dials into, no, from an energy spend standpoint. So that's another aspect. And it also indirectly dials into the your green posture. So that's also important, because specific energy consumption goes down if you were to optimize on that. So that's one. Then likewise throughput. So if you were, what we do is in some of our plants which are batch in nature, the production is batch in nature. What we do is we keep a track on the batch cycle times. And if there are across batches for the same product, you see significant variances. And if you were to plug it and basically peg it against a golden batch, so to say, what you do is your throughput increases. On a 24-hour cycle, on a monthly basis, your throughput increases. You are able to churn more out of what you have. So all of these features, and of course quality. So there is a cost of quality and there is a cost of poor quality. So you have to figure out. And there is another aspect that we often talk about quality, but there is a cost of, if you give away too much good quality and you are charging for a lesser or an optimal quality product, you are actually giving it away. So you will have to hit at the optimal so that you get the best from what you produce. So that's from the quality standpoint. And finally, for plants like ours, safety, workplace safety is also important. So you also have to look at equipment that if there are leakages, fugitive emissions, if they are captured and nipped in the bud, rather than creating an escalation in the plant or creating some kind of a disastrous situation, if that could be avoided, you've already paid for the entire project.
I'm going to move the conversation more towards the world of customer. And this is a world where, personalization, engagement, experience, these are things that a customer experiences about a brand, and that's where trust gets built. That's where the competitive advantage gets built. And I want to pick up, especially the B2C companies here, to get their view on what is it that they're doing in this space. And Varun, if I may go first with you, sure. Where do you think in the broader industry, in the segment that you represent, AI is shifting personalization in a meaningful way that's adding to dollars, that's adding to money and top line?
Yeah. I would like to start with some disclaimer, right? When we talk about personalization, especially using AI, there's always this concern that we are infringing on privacy. So any organization has to do this in a more compliant way, looking into DPDP, GDPR, right? We all get creepy when we see, for example, YouTube videos when we are speaking on the mobile, right? So that's where we all are concerned, right? So any organization should do it in a very ethical way. But considering that, there are plenty of use cases where, personalization can be achieved leveraging AI, right? One is, of course, using AI, you can actually provide personalized marketing content, right? Looking at the customer past buying patterns, browsing, etc., as well as show products when they come to your store or to your website, as well as give real-time offers on the fly, which is again built for that specific customer, right? Now, most of the companies are launching voice bots, human voice bots, who can basically on a real-time basis understand what products you have bought, provide you service, right? So when you call a call center, you would hear a human-like bot who would interact with you and able to solve things very efficiently, right? So it will not just receive a call, it will also on the real-time basis fetch the necessary details and take agentic actions, right? So for me, these are two use cases which are really exciting.
Interesting. If I move to the regulated side of the house.
Now, because I know more about those customers with their interactions, Because I have an NLP program in place, I know what the kind of words they use when we interact with them and everything. Our models have gone to prescriptive stage where we tell our teams that this customer no need to call, even don't need to send a link. Just call this person at 4 to 6 p.m. during the weekend and there's a high chance that this customer will pay. The customer is also very happy. But earlier what used to happen, if we need to make plethora of calls over weekend, the sales team used to come back and say the customer experience has gone down, right? So understanding of experience means now you need to make a shift from treating customer equally to treating customer uniquely. And with AI, it has become possible because you don't need those massages of business analysts and data people and all of that. Now it can be done, and every day it is evolving and learning. The second stage is insurance being a life stage product, and what happens is as we grow old, we all know it's no-brainer, the chances of me dying becomes higher, right, naturally. But the insurance I have taken at the age of 30 might not suffice because I'm increasing my income, I'm increasing my expenses and everything. So how do I come in between to somebody who took an insurance policy from me at 30 years of age, and now I know that the average age of somebody becoming a first parent is 34 years and 5 months, that's the India stat. How do I reach out to that customer at that stage and pitching that proposition in a manner when that person is very, very highly inclined to buy an insurance, right?
You know, how can I miss Anurag? What's your take in terms of hyper-personalization or customer experience layer in the KFC space?
Yeah, again, I mean, just going back to what my fellow panelists said, the disclaimer obviously is, at the end of the day, ethical AI, right? And we want to be very responsible about that, and we've been very deliberate about it, right? The second piece is moving from generic personalization, so to speak, that used to exist to, hyper-personalization, with the goal being that, it's not about the customer should feel, oh, KFC knows me, but it's more about KFC gets me today. What is my mood in the moment I'm in, right? So to that extent, what we kind of look at is a couple of, there are obviously a bunch of data sets that we use, right? But for example, what is the location, right? What is the occasion? Is it a weekend? Is it a day where an IPL match is happening, right? We will look at the day part, morning, snack time, dinner, etc. And these are obviously the basic hygiene data sets that you look at. But beyond all of this, what you also look at are the channels. You look at what has been the history, the past orders, what goes well for this customer with a certain kind of product that they want to buy, right? So by bringing all of this together, what we are trying to do is trying to offer a very unique experience to a consumer where, whether they're on our app, whether they come to our store, we know what they would like to have. How can we make it a much more wonderful occasion for them when they're at the store, when they're ordering. And that for us is truly what we care about, making it a moment of delight for them.
So Atul, I'm going to move the needle to a slightly different space, given your deep manufacturing focus. I mean, you spoke of, driving throughput and productivity in the manufacturing space. How do you get scale adoption across the organization to get to that result? So, in this journey of getting digital twins and the costs associated with that, how do you drive, scale, adoption, and the end outcomes in their entire journey?
First of all, what we do is we create showcases that, rather than talking about pilots and POCs, we internally, through our own team, we basically identify that, if we were to do AI on this application, this is how it will facilitate the overall operations. And sometimes what you do, you have to set the tone at the top first. Tell them that this is the art of the possible, this is how this can happen. And then sometimes they will then direct that, maybe the operating officer at the plant level, that, why don't you look at this? Because unless otherwise you have that input, the board buy-in, many such interventions basically just remain at the pilot scale. So that's how that's what we do. Likewise, when I talked about our energy efficiency project, we started off with some select number of equipments, and then when we started seeing benefits, then we kept adding more smart sensors, more data, so that there were optimization which were happening, and likewise you could see the cost and value benefits, tangible benefits which were coming out. So unless you are able to show those tangible benefits, it's all another shining block. That whatever is coming, whatever fashionable is there, you tend to adopt. So that doesn't fly for long.
Well, thank you so much, panelists, for sort of fielding all the questions and making the whole story real. A big round of applause for the esteemed panel, please. Thank you.